Every single year, thousands of people across America make the same decision. They sell the house, they cash out the 401k, they buy the land, they plant the crop, and within 3 years, sometimes two, they are completely, financially devastated. Not because they were lazy, not because they weren't passionate, not because they didn't work hard enough, but because nobody told them the truth before they started. See, agriculture has this dangerous reputation, this romantic, sun-soaked, back to the land fantasy that gets sold on Instagram Reels and homesteading YouTube channels. And don't get me wrong, farming is one of the most rewarding things a human being can do. But it is also one of the most unforgiving businesses on the planet. Today we are going to talk about the biggest mistakes new farmers make. The ones that silently drain bank accounts, kill operations before they get started, and send good, hard-working people back to the suburbs with nothing but debt and regret. If you're thinking about farming, already farming, or love someone who is about to start, do not click away. This video could save you everything. Hello, this is Acre Ledger, the YouTube channel dedicated to educating and inspiring the next generation of farmers. No matter how large or small your dream operation is, or with a little guidance, it can become reality. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay connected in the worlds of farming and finance. Let's get into it. Mistake 1. Overbuying land before you understand it. Mistake number 1, and this one hurts to watch, is buying more land than you can actually manage, understand, or afford. Here is what happens. A new farmer finds a 400-acre property, gets stars in their eyes, and stretches every dollar they have to close the deal. They are land rich and cash poor before a single seed goes in the ground. Then spring comes, input costs hit, equipment breaks, and they have zero financial cushion to absorb any of it. Here is the lesson: land is not just an asset, it is a responsibility that demands cash flow. The smartest move a new farmer can make is to start small. Whether that means buying 40 acres and renting more as you grow, or leasing ground entirely for the first few years to learn the land before you own it. The farmers who build lasting operations almost never start with their end goal. They start with what they can manage well, and they scale from a position of strength, not desperation. A well-run 80 acres will always outperform a poorly run 400 acres, every single time. Mistake 2. Treating farming like a hobby, not a business. Mistake number 2 is the one that polite people don't talk about enough. Most new farmers treat their operation like a very expensive hobby, and then wonder why they can never seem to get ahead. They do not track their cost per acre. They do not know their break-even price. They cannot tell you whether last year made money or lost it without guessing. They make purchasing decisions based on feelings and neighbor advice instead of spreadsheets and data. And here is the brutal truth. The market does not care about your passion. It only responds to your decisions. Every successful farm operation, no matter the size, runs on numbers. The farmer knows exactly what it costs to produce a bushel of corn, a pound of beef, or a dozen eggs. They know their margins. They know when to sell and when to hold. They have a budget before the season starts, and they track it as the season unfolds. Now, if you are farming right now and you cannot tell me your cost of production per unit without looking it up, that is the first thing you fix. Not the equipment, not the acreage, the numbers. Get a notebook, get a spreadsheet, get an accountant if you need one. But know your numbers like you know your own name. Mistake 3. Buying equipment instead of buying time. Mistake number 3 is one of the most expensive lessons in all of agriculture, and almost every new farmer learns it the hard way. They buy equipment too early, too big, and with too much debt. Here is how it plays out. New farmer buys a $180,000 tractor in year 1 because they think they need it. They finance it at a payment that eats a third of their operating budget. Then they use it maybe 60 days a year. The other 305 days it sits in a shed depreciating, while the loan payment keeps coming every single month, whether the crops do or not. Here is what experienced farmers know that beginners do not. Custom hiring is almost always cheaper than ownership in the early years. You can hire someone to come plant your corn, spray your fields, and combine your crop, and pay only for the work that gets done with no equipment loan, no insurance, no maintenance, and no depreciation on your balance sheet. Yes, you give up some control. Yes, you depend on someone else's schedule. But you also protect your cash flow, which is the lifeblood of any farm operation in its first decade. Buy land, rent equipment, build equity. That is a sequence that works. Mistake 4. Ignoring weather and market risk. Mistake number 4 is something that catches new farmers completely off guard because nobody teaches it in agriculture school, at farm shows, or on YouTube, and that is risk management. New farmers plan for the best case. Experienced farmers plan for the worst case and insure against everything in between. Let me paint you a picture. You plant 160 acres of corn. You have a beautiful spring. Crop is looking incredible going into July. Then a drought hits for 3 weeks during pollination, the single most critical window of the entire growing season, and your yield drops from an expected 195 bushels per acre to 110. Your revenue gets cut nearly in half. Your costs stay exactly the same. Without crop insurance, that is a catastrophic year. With the right crop insurance coverage, it is a tough year you survive and learn from. The same principle applies to price risk. Corn prices can move 40 to 50 cents per bushel in a single week based on a USDA report, a drought in Brazil, or a trade policy announcement. New farmers sell everything at harvest and hope for the best. Smart farmers use forward contracts and hedge their production so that no matter what the market does, they know what they're going to get paid. Lesson: hope is not a risk management strategy. Insurance and forward contracts are. Mistake 5. Going it alone. Mistake number 5 is quieter than the others. It does not show up on a balance sheet, but it will cost you more than almost anything else on this list. It is the mistake of isolation, trying to figure everything out alone. Farming has always been a community endeavor. The best farmers in any county are not islands. They have a network, a lender who understands their operation, an agronomist who scouts their fields, a lawyer who reviews their leases, a mentor who has seen everything they are about to go through and survived it. New farmers, especially those who come from outside agriculture, often feel like they have to prove themselves before they ask for help. So they struggle in silence. They make avoidable mistakes. They reinvent wheels that have been rolling for 100 years. Here is the reality. The fastest way to grow in this industry is to attach yourself to people who are already where you want to be. Go to your local farm bureau meetings. Introduce yourself to the older farmers at the elevator. Find an agronomist you trust. Join online communities of producers who share your type of operation. Ask questions constantly and without embarrassment. Nobody built a great farm alone, not one. Mistake 6, not having enough operating capital. Mistake number 6 is the one that kills more first-generation farm operations than weather, markets, and bad decisions combined. Running out of cash. Here is the thing about farming that is unlike almost any other business. You spend all of your money in the spring and you do not get paid until the fall, sometimes later. That gap, that 6, 7, 8-month window between spending and receiving, is where undercapitalized farmers die. Input costs for a modest grain operation can top $100,000 before you have a single bushel to show for it. If you do not have the operating capital or the credit line to bridge that gap, you cannot function. You cannot buy seed. You cannot apply fertilizer at the right time. You start making compromises that hurt your yield, which hurts your revenue, which makes the next year even harder. The rule of thumb that experienced farmers live by is this: never start a season without enough capital to cover your full input costs, plus a 20% cushion for the unexpected. Because in farming, the unexpected is not the exception, it is the guarantee. Before you spend a dollar on land or equipment, build your financial foundation first. Final lesson: Here is what I want you to take away from everything we just covered. Farming is not complicated, but it is unforgiving. The land does not negotiate. The market does not sympathize. The input costs do not care whether this is your first year or your 40th. But here is what nobody tells you at the beginning. Every single farmer who is successful today made most of these same mistakes. The difference between the ones who made it and the ones who didn't is not talent. It is not luck. It is not even the quality of their land. It is the willingness to learn faster than the mistakes cost them. Start small. Know your numbers. Manage your risk. Build your network. Protect your cash. And never stop treating this like the serious, beautiful, complicated business that it is. That is what Acre Ledger is here for, every week breaking down the financial strategy, the real numbers, and the hard lessons of agriculture in a way that actually makes sense. If this video helped you, hit subscribe. Share it with someone who's about to start farming and needs to hear this before they do. And I will see you in the next one.